Welcome to the Brothers in Arms podcast, the one with Nick and Drew, the one that nearly won the Stanley Cup last year, the best and only podcast on some side of the Mississippi. You can decide which side we're on, the left or the east or right or west, up, south, north, or down. You decide. The podcast that will finally answer who killed Abraham Lincoln. And surprise, it was John Kennedy. I am the one and almost only Drew, and on the other and one and almost Nick, here to finger bang your ears with our voices. Try not to squirt. That was horrible. That was terrible. It sounded a lot better in my head.
I liked it. Am I a bad person because I liked it? I liked it.
No.
I like how I'm a part of the show, but I'm also like a viewer, a listener. I like that.
Yeah, I mean we all are, really, in a sense.
I appreciated that. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so what are we working with?
I don't know. Just figured, how'd your week go?
Pretty good. I mean, I can go off on tangents. You know, naturally you work, I work, but I've been prototyping some aerospace parts in my home shop today, which is
elaborate. Aerospace,
cool.
like
Yeah, actually, I found a guy that's looking for forms, like prototyping forms, and he's fabricating very thin sheets of aluminum over these wings. So he sends me the files, and I start making them today. And I was like, well, you know, I figure I might as well ask the guy, like, what is this for? I was like, is this for an RC plane? He's like, no, it's for a real plane. And he sends me a picture of him sitting in one, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, what does that run on? And he's like, it's a VW engine, single engine, 2400 cc if I'm not mistaken, but I prototyped him out one of the wings. I could send it to you sometime and you could see it, but
I would love to see it.
yeah, I'm gonna talk to him on the CNC machine that I'm actually very proud because I built the CNC machine from scratch, like from the ground up, and made it. So I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm gonna talk to him Monday and see if the thing fits and everything. And one day I might see it in the air. So
you talking about the lathe? Is that the CNC machine?
Oh no, I do have a lathe that is a late 1940s American-made lathe, and then no, I have a CNC router that I built with 3D printed parts.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to CNCs, and
that's all right. If you talk to me long enough, you'll hear more about it, whether you like it or not. But but yeah. It's basically, you know, I mean, it's a router, like it can cut, you know, various materials and everything, but it's, you know, motor driven, and, you know, I do like the CAD and the CAM, which is computer aided manufacturing, whatever.
Oh, I know about CAD.
I don't know right, so I make the parts, and then, you know, like I design it on Fusion and then send it out and cut them. So.
That's funny because I was just about to ask you if you do CAD.
I do, and I do it primarily just as like a passion project. Like I get paid way less than my skills, you know, would demand. But you know,
we all do, sir.
Right. So I'm trying to make a little scratch on the side, but the week's been good. And what about yours?
That's what we're trying to do now. We're trying to make a little scratch on the side.
Yeah,
somebody's gonna listen to this. Hopefully. One day, maybe.
Hopefully we're entertaining. I would like to be entertaining first, more than profitable.
Yeah. What? No, we riff a little bit. My producer's in here. He's get into the story. Get into the story. My producer's my son.
We'll get to the story, but we got to warm it up. We got to lube the gears.
Yeah, we got to lube the ears before we finger bang them. You know, you can't just. Straight
the ears and the gears.
Come on, man.
How was your week?
It was shit.
Let me know about you before I hear the story.
Tuesday and Wednesday with burnt eyes. And Thursday I laid out and went to the eye doctor, and just a bunch of shit. It's better now.
You do welding, right?
Yeah, I'm a welder, so.
Okay, well, one and the same. We're not exactly the same thing, but as a machinist, we're kind of part and parcel here. So
blue collar. We're the workers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But also brothers in steel too. So
yeah, definitely steel and aluminum. And
I bet. Do you weld stainless? I know this is.
We just started welding stainless. I personally have not welded stainless yet, but
I've heard it's kind of tricky. I've never really actually seen it done, but
I've been tigging some stainless steel, and I think mine looks pretty compared to some of the other ones. Yeah.
Does it? Well, the thing with stainless is it's so rewarding when you're machining it, but it's also it's kind of gummy. Are you getting that? Or
okay, I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it wants to grip. It's stainless is the only thing that's kind of I'm soft until you start cutting me, and then I'm gonna get hard as fuck. You know what I mean? But that's stainless.
So what you're telling me is metal turns you on. When you really get into that stainless, you get hard for it.
Yeah,
you got a hard on for the stainless.
Hardens itself too, which is brilliant and also infuriating as shit. It's that's the thing with stainless. As soon as you fuck up, you got to throw it straight in the bin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I don't know about making it, but welding it seems to be a pain in the ass for some people. But I enjoy tigging it. That's all I've done with it. I'm going to have to leave that there because I don't know. Hey, let me ask you this. When you take a shit, how many times do you have to wipe?
Man, I would say that, it's funny. I've thought about it. I think my average number is a good 5 or 6.
Yeah, forever.
5 or 6, but I'm also I'm a non-looker at the toilet paper.
Oh, you don't look at it? What?
I don't look at the toilet paper. Yeah, and that's the response I always get. And they're like, "You don't look at the toilet paper?" No. I know my butthole is fucking clean when it's been rubbed raw. That's
about right. Yeah, I got a bidet. So, I thought a bidet.
I've been wanting to get a bidet, but also my thing is I specifically this is my best answer for you to keep it succinct. I wipe my ass that last time, right? And then I make sure to always do another wipe.
One more.
Every time.
There's got to be more blood than shit on the toilet paper for me, I think.
Right. What's your number?
So, God. Even with a bidet, 12? 15?
12?
Somebody said it's literally there's a brown marker down there, and it's every time you wipe, just a brown marker, you're just streaking this toilet paper. I don't know where it comes from.
That was, I believe that was on Parks and Rec, Chris Pratt's.
That's it. You're right. Andy and April.
And he's like, I don't know about anybody else, but I go to white, and then it's just brown.
Just wipe.
Brown.
And wipe.
Brown.
It's there's
brown.
a marker down there.
There's a marker down there.
Oh, yeah, when he's telling the doctor.
Do you bidet in between, or do you bidet to finish?
Oh, I bidet when I finish, but that usually opens up round 2. Because it's almost like an enema.
Nobody wants to walk around with a wet asshole.
Well, I guess, a lot of time you're just wiping off water.
Yeah, but still, nobody wants to walk around with a wet asshole. So I think that's my whole thing with the bidet, too. I can get down with the bidet, but I would have to then go back and keep doing more work. I gotta dry it up. There's no way I'm walking around.
Yeah, you're going to need a towel afterwards.
Yeah.
But hey, summer here, man, it's swamp ass all the time.
Of course.
So, you just guess you kind of get used to it.
Are you a pants guy? Are you a pants guy at work or shorts?
No, shorts.
Shorts?
I wear shorts at work. Well, I'm a welder, by the way, now. Dropping beads down into my boots.
I do. Jeans every day. I don't care what the temp is. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of old school though, I guess. But I don't want to get chips in my boots.
Can't do it. Oh, also, I might need to discuss this early on. Huge hockey fan, and me and my daughter's favorite hockey team's playing tonight. And every time they score, we have to high five. So if she pops in down here into the studio and screams, "We scored!" and high five, that's what happened. So
absolutely cool. Hey, you could not pick a better sport.
Oh no, yeah, hockey, hands down, hockey's my favorite sport, all time
I mean,
favorite sport.
I'm a Red Wings fan, but I just can't be religious about it just because of the times the games come on. But I'm a Red Wings fan. I was raised by a Yankee. My dad was a Yankee, so yeah.
Oh, Michigan?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a Wolverines fan, but yeah, but
Oh,
Red Wings
I didn't
are my
know
number
that.
one. So
My sister's married to a guy. They live right outside Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay. Well,
But they're what Trojan? They're Trojan fans.
Well, not necessarily. Yeah, Grand Rapids is state, and Ann Arbor is Michigan. I'm sure anybody that will listen to this will probably correct me, but I know Ann Arbor's Wolverines, and that's all that matters to me. So.
Yeah, but we're probably not gonna have. Other than my sister might listen to it, maybe.
Well, she might correct me. So.
Yeah, or yeah, I don't know.
Well, you never know. We can get 400 episodes deep, and people are going to go back and listen to the back catalog.
Oh man, I hope they don't listen to these. These are going to be terrible.
Oh, well, all right. I've heard worse. I think.
I finally got a board for this one, and I think it's got a kind of hum in it or a buzz. But
is Saturday night's pretty typical for that league? Is that the night?
Well, no, I mean I can usually do Fridays or Saturdays, but I'd rather do Fridays. But I had other engagements
No, I'm talking
last
about
night.
the hockey league. Is that the night they play?
Oh yeah, it's usually Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and like Sunday afternoons. So yeah, it's
Jesus
Wednesday's
Christ,
about the only
Canadians
weekday.
love hockey.
So great to watch.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got happening. Daylight savings time, and one of my biggest pet peeves of all time is that they say daylight savings time. It's not daylight savings time. It's daylight saving time. No S.
Completely agree.
And I am so done with these time changes. I don't. As soon as I get used to like going an hour in the future, then I go an hour in the past. And as soon as I get living an hour in the past, then they take my hour away, and I'm done with it. I don't understand it. Stupidest thing I think we've ever done, and keep doing.
I actually heard, I think it was a quote from a Native American, which has always stuck with me, and I couldn't tell you who it was, but...
Was it,
No, that's how it started, but he ended by saying, well, they got to say that before everything, I presume. But he ended with saying, leave it to a white man to try to take a tapestry, some sort of
blanket. Cut the bottom part off the blanket.
Exactly. Cut the bottom off of it and try to attach it to the top and pretend it's the same thing.
I mean, I know they say the kids are out the bus stops and it gets lighter sooner and all that, and that's cool. But let's just pick one and stick with it. I would rather stay on daylight saving time, but apparently I think that's a federal law that you can't. Nobody can just stay on daylight saving time. You can stay on standard time.
I don't know if it's federal law, but if I roll into work an hour late every day and just be like, I'm bucking the system,
I'm still on.
We need to have a conversation.
I'm not going to that. I'm staying on standard.
Right. Hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm rebuking the current standards. So this is my moral stance here. Like, okay, well you're fired.
I can do it the other way because I show up an hour early anyway.
So do I, which is interesting. Oh, you do that too?
Yeah, just to get acclimated, drink my coffee, get ready to work, chill out.
Oh, that's what I do too. I warm up machines. I show up an hour early. So even if I'm ever late, I'm always early.
Right. So
I work on like 5+ hours of overtime every week.
Yeah, they don't allow overtime at my place, but.
Oh, I can get pretty much as many as I want manufacturing, but we also need a pretty good welder though too. By the way, we might need 2 of them. We got one guy, but keep it under your hat. So
yeah, it's this
is a LinkedIn podcast. So
you just told everybody that. So any welders, hit up Nick.
Sorry, Mitchell, if you ever listen to this, my bad.
What now? Oh, Mitchell. Shout out
our current welder. Shout out to Mitchell. My bad. You're good, but you got to show up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm a. But you live somewhere. Don't you live like way far from here?
I live in Dallas, but I work in Mableton.
Yeah. See, that's like 2 hours away, 3 hours away from me. I ain't done the math. I've actually just now found out where he lives.
Where do you live? Are you in like Dahlonega or something?
Yeah, I'm in Dahlonega.
Oh yeah, it's 2 hours solid.
Yeah, I'm one
way.
I'm about 45 minutes away from my work, but
yeah, oh no, you got welding shops up there. That's all right. But I mean, if you ever moved and you wanted to bump and pay, let me know. Again, this is not a LinkedIn podcast. So
yeah, we're trying our best.
We can talk about this anytime. So,
all right. Well, let's see what you got for us today, Nick.
What do I got? You want to go with me first?
Yeah, let's do you first.
Okay. I got some fairly interesting things. I would imagine that you've probably heard one, if not two, of these.
Oh, he's got multiples.
I have multiples because I presume that Drew has heard of these. Most likely.
We'll see.
At least a couple of them. Are you familiar with the Max Headroom incident?
No, but I know who Max Headroom is.
Okay, so you know of the Max Headroom show?
Yes. Yeah, I was an agent.
Okay, so you're not okay. One of my not necessarily guilty pleasures or anything, but one of my favorite things in the world is vintage computers, vintage technology, and vintage hacking. One of my favorite things. Are you familiar with like phreaking? Phone phreaking?
With what?
Phone phreaking. Are you familiar with that?
No, but I was a DOS. I was a DOS kid.
Okay, so you're roughly my age, but I love the idea of manipulating old, vintage technology, pre-internet era. And this is one of my favorite stories. The Max Headroom signal hijacking happened in Chicago. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Are we open to hear a little bit of facts, and then we can riff as we go?
Oh yeah, but I'd rather hear the facts. But yeah, we'll riff too, But I think I did see it, like a YouTube video on this. I didn't watch it. I just saw a thing about it, and I was like, this looks interesting. So I'm glad you're bringing this to the table now.
Absolutely. This is one of my all-time favorite stories.
Cool.
The Max Headroom signal hijacking. It was November 22nd, 1987. Television signals of two stations in Chicago were hijacked, briefly sending a pirate broadcast of an unidentified person wearing a Max Headroom mask and costume to thousands of home viewers, which amazing in and of itself. The first incident took place during the sports segment of the independent TV station, WGN at 9 o'clock newscast.
I love WGN, the Cubs.
Right, me too. I watch the Cubs too. I was a Braves fan, and I always switch over, and that's why the Cubbies are always my number two. Wrigley Field, how beautiful is that field? We'll get to that at some point. And it featured a person wearing a mask swaying erratically in front of a swiveling, corrugated metal panel, apparently meant to resemble Max Headroom's animated geometric background. Unlike the later intrusion, the only sound was a loud buzz. This interruption went on for almost 30 seconds before engineers at WGN, were able to regain control of the broadcast tower. Second incident that I believe happened at the same time. 2 hours later. PBS member station WTTW's broadcast of Doctor Who. Signal takeover was more sustained, and the masked figure could be heard making reference to the real Max Headroom's advertisements for New Coke, the animated TV series Clutch Cargo, WGN sportscaster Chuck Swirsky, world's greatest newspaper nerds, and other seemingly unrelated topics.
Wait a minute. My daughter's here. What, she got an announcement? What happened?
We scored.
Score! What is it, 5-1 now?
Oh, 5-4 now.
5-4?
You didn't hear me score.
Oh,
Man,
shit.
I thought I heard
Y'all
something.
got to get on it.
They're about to come back. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Well, she did.
That's
She meant to.
absolutely fine.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah, she did. I'll blame her. Video concluded with a side view of someone's exposed buttocks being spanked by a woman with a fly swatter while a voice yelled, "Oh no, they're coming to get me."
And
with another voice.
This is on WGN?
Yes, that's the most interesting thing. That's the most interesting thing about it is we're talking about presumably somebody sitting in a sweaty, dank apartment that was hot as fuck with all that old, vintage technology. I mean, they were probably working with like Mac 2s, Mac 1s, and hacking the system and somehow picking up the frequency. And then, like, I don't even know what their camera technology was at that point.
This was 87?
This was in 1987, yes.
87. So it wasn't even vintage then. That was
a year before I was born. This is way before the internet. This is way before any of that. How do you even broadcast a video?
Yeah, that's a ham. There's like ham radios and the way they pirate things and
right. Not only picking up the signal, which seems almost an insurmountable feat.
This had to be way before digital.
Yes. Oh, it absolutely was. This was a broadcast signal, like radio antenna.
Analog.
And yeah, completely analog. But to even broadcast the video too, like what's your method? What's your medium? How are you even taking the video? Blows my mind.
Crazy. I was 7 by the way.
It lasted for roughly 30 seconds. I think the craziest thing about it though is to this day nobody knows who it was. To this day, and there was a post on Reddit some odd years ago that I got very intrigued with, where a guy's like, I think I know who perpetrated the Max Headroom incident, and he was talking about how, you know, we hung out at all these like goth dungeon bars and all this sorts of stuff in Chicago, and come to find out later it wasn't them. That's why I don't want to purport it to be true or anything. But,
it was Bozo.
But the story, in and of itself, the post was amazing. You know, you had like a guy who was like somewhat mentally deficient, but brilliant with this sort of technology and all sorts of shit. I think nowadays we call that like autistic. I don't know.
Spectrum.
But yeah, well, I mean, like Rain Man kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Right, and he's like, the whole apartment smelled like sweat and burnt conductors and shit, and he's like, I think it was them, but come to find out it wasn't. So to this day, that is an unsolved mystery, and I do recommend anybody listening to me right now to look up the video, because it's never happened before, and it's never happened after, that a person has intercepted a major channel and done that. I mean, as a huge science fiction nerd, it's one of the coolest things in the world. WGN is like it was one of like the single digit news channels, right? Like you've got 2, 6, 8, 11, whatever. I mean, I know that's double digit with NBC or whatever. But to intercept their broadcast and stream, quote unquote, stream whatever you wanted. I don't know. It's crazy.
Okay, well, my producer just informed me that he could probably put the video up. So at this point in time, like we could say, like, here's the video.
I highly recommend it. Yeah, I mean, because you have to see the video to truly understand it, and it cut the show off like mid stride, and then it was science fiction. It's like Heavy Metal 2000. It's whatever. But it's some shit that's never been done before and never been done after.
Yeah, I've heard about people like being able to pirate or like come over like radio stations, but never an actual like national broadcast station on TV. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out that video.
Yeah, it's basically like seeing ABC News at 2 o'clock or noon, whenever ABC does their news broadcast, and you find a way to pirate in, and then. And again, like, you don't have a laptop camera. You can't just, like, turn that on.
Yeah, we're talking about 1987. There was there even laptops then?
No. Well, I mean, you had laptops, but this is like the emergent. You had, like, IBM ThinkPads and they were thinking about like ergonomics, and they were like text editors and shit, but they were not like capable machinery. No, this involved a serious amount of knowledge that I'm not even aware of.
Like this guy probably worked for a cable channel. He had to.
Possibly, yeah. There is some running theories that the guy had inside knowledge, but I think even if you did, it's nearly insurmountable unless you dedicated your life to doing it, and they did it, and it's amazing. But I recommend to anybody that's listening to my voice right now to see the video. And if you were born in like 1988, like I was, it really blows your mind. I mean, maybe if you're younger now, it's not as crazy to think of, but you have to understand back when there was like 12 channels and one of them gets interrupted because somebody strong-armed it to their own video stream, it's crazy. Coolest thing in the world.
My son's the producer. He's 15. He just come around the corner and he's like, "Hey, Dad, I think we could be able to just post the video on the podcast." So he might be able to put it on there. So if you're listening to this, you might have just watched it, or you might be about to just watch it, depending on when he puts it in there.
You should talk often with the old ones of your tribe. That is the only way to learn.
I'll get you a hot drink, miss.
Why, don't some dry clothing.
Because he's a freaking nerd. I think I'm better than Chuck Swirsky. Working with oh, Jesus. Yeah. That's the way. Your love is fading. I still see the X. Oh, my piles. Oh, I just laid a giant masterpiece for all the greatest world newspaper nerds. Oh, my brother is wearing the other one. But it's dirty. It's got footprints on it. Oh, they're coming to get me. Oh, big lips.
As far as I can tell, a massive electric shock, he died instantly.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I'll go and put that in there for the edit. Wasn't that awesome?
Totally awesome. Crazy.
Okay, so
Crazy.
that is one of mine. I have a couple other, but I knew that.
Grab a couple more, because mine's gonna be long.
I had to do Max Headroom with you. I had to. I presumed that you would have known about it.
I've heard of it. I haven't. I didn't do a deep dive like that. I just kind of knew about the Max Headroom incident, but I didn't know all the details.
Right, and criminal investigation was conducted by the FCC in the immediate aftermath of the intrusion, but could not find the persons responsible, and despite many unofficial inquiries and much speculation over the ensuing decades, the culprits have yet to be positively identified.
And how about that? The American government fails again.
Exactly. And here's more to speak of it, and they can actually say how it happened. The broadcast intrusion was achieved by sending a more powerful microwave transmission to the station's broadcast towers than the stations were sending themselves, which was a difficult task in 1987, but was possible before American television stations switched from analog to digital signals in 2009. Experts have said that the stunt required extensive technical expertise and a significant amount of transmitting power, and that the pirate broadcast likely originated from somewhere in the line of sight of both stations' broadcast towers, which were atop two tall buildings in downtown Chicago.
Analog hackers.
Yeah, which is the coolest thing in the world to me, man. It's like phone freakers. Are you familiar with that back in the day when there was like long distance phone calling and shit?
Yeah, dude, I'm old.
Yeah, okay, well, I just don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I could say that to like several other people, and they'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, I used to have to call the operator and be like, "I need to make a long distance phone call to so and so," and then like the operator's like, "Okay, please hold," and then they would ring, and like my dad would be like, on the other side of America, and like it would pick up, and it'd be like, "You have a long distance phone call from," and then I was supposed to say my name, Drew. Would you like to accept? And he would say yes.
Hi, it's Bob. We had a baby. It's a boy.
So, yeah.
Do you not remember that commercial? You're making me sound like I'm crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed it. What'd you say?
Hi, it's Bob. We had a baby. It's a boy.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
You don't remember that Geico commercial?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, where they would try to, you just get the information out before you accept the charges.
Right.
Hey, it's Bob. It's a boy.
You have a collect call from,
I do not accept these
Bob,
charges.
Baby, it's a boy. I, to this day, say that's the greatest commercial ever made.
We'll have to, maybe Hayden can put that one in, too.
Yeah,
Pop it in.
We had a baby, it's a boy. Yeah, go ahead and sneak that one in there.
Wait,
too,
I think it's starting to ring a bell now. Yeah, that it's a boy. Yeah, I remember that. We're like, oh, yeah. Like he would land sometimes and just let us know. It's like, you have a collect call from Daniel. Would you like to set, or he'd be like, Daniel, I made it. Would you like to set the charges? No.
Are you telling me you never made a collect call to your mom and be like, hey, I'm at the mall, I'm good?
Yeah, well.
I did.
No, I've just used payphones or.
Well, no, I'm talking about with the payphone. You make a collect call to your mom and be like, hey, it's Nick, I'm good. And then she declines the charges, and she's like, okay, well, he's at the mall.
Yeah. No, I've just got, but I always had a dime, so I could make I would always take several dimes with me to.
Your dime spill it. But before we move on to the next thing, I just wanted to talk about analog hacking just briefly, one more time.
Analog?
There was a guy. Analog hacking, there was a guy in phone freaking. Phone freaking is one of the most interesting things in the world to me. There was a guy that learned how to bypass long distance calls on payphones by using a whistle that he got out of a cereal box.
What?
And he would play the tune into the receiver, and because he realized that there was a certain frequency of sound that would allow long distance calls to be made, and he would play the whistle into the phone, and then it would give him free long distance calls. And he ended up going to prison.
That's crazy, but I'm gonna trust you.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. It's the truth. So I mean, definitely look into that too. I'm here to show you the weird and cool, but I'm definitely into the vintage hacking. So
it's crazy. Yeah.
And I don't want to take up all the time, so I'm sure you have something you want to talk
Mine's
about.
long. Do one more.
Another one?
Yeah, you said you had multiple. Give me another one. Then after this one, we'll break this one down and we'll do a part 2.
Okay. Well, I've got a brief story here that I think that can be run through pretty quick.
I gotta quit drinking, or I won't be able to. Nothing. What you got?
Okay,
You went radio silence.
Okay. Well, I hate that air.
It's bad for podcasts when it does silence.
I know.
What's
Well, I
going
think
on?
that air is good a little bit. It allows people to reflect a little bit. Okay. What about in 1982? Remember 1982?
1982. I remember 1982.
Okay. I don't.
I don't, but.
All right, what about a man claiming to be a professional race car driver talked his way into NASCAR's Winston 500 and then completely disappeared off the earth?
I have never heard of any of this. This sounds
Okay,
cool.
well, he left a trail of bounce checks and confused victims in his wake. This is a story of L.W. Wright, NASCAR's mystery driver.
Okay, now hang on. Let me stop you there, because I used to be a big NASCAR fan. So I've got a couple questions, and I don't really want to ruin your story, but I mean, are we talking about just one race or an entire season?
What's a season of NASCAR?
Like I'm talking, they do like 30 races a year. Like,
have you ever raced in
Atlanta,
NASCAR?
Talladega, Daytona.
Have you ever raced in NASCAR?
No, I'm just a big fan of it, or used to be.
Okay. Well, if you wanted to race one race, could you do it?
That would seem like we were talking 1982. So maybe.
I'll say, I like how before I tell the story, you're like, I could have done that.
I mean, I know, like, back when I used to watch it, they would do the road races, and like just for this road race, like a couple of like Indy drivers would come in and drive a car, but they were driving for an actual race team. It wasn't like they just some mysterious dude just showed up to race. But 82. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt your story. All right, let me hear it. I didn't want to ruin it either. That was just my question.
As interesting as that is, and what you're saying actually kind of makes sense because having done a little bit of research into this story, it seems like the stipulations to be able to drive a race car in NASCAR in 1982 was bare minimum. Okay.
Do you got a driver's license? Are you over 18? Do you drink Budweiser?
Do you have a blood alcohol level of less than 0.2? Okay, so all right, so check this out. William Dunaway, Tennessee.
William Dunaway.
All right, week until race day, Wright paid NASCAR $115 for a competition license, and also $100 for the race entry fee. Now, the field manager was skeptical about background and legally wanted to do something about it, but there's nothing they could do to prevent him from competing. And it was the right to work law back in the day. But the most interesting thing about this is he didn't just come with his broke down Chevy, run a race, and leave. That's not what happened. He went to marketing firms, Space Age marketing firm in Nashville, convinced him to sponsor his race team and help him buy an appropriate race car. Wright left the meeting with a tractor trailer for transport, $30,000 for the car, and $7,500 for other expenses. And he then turned to NASCAR driver Sterling Martin, who I'm sure you're aware of.
Sterling Marlin.
Yeah, Sterling Marlin, pardon me. And negotiated the purchase of an 81 Chevrolet Monte Carlo for $20,000, 20.7, whatever.
Hey, let me stop you there. The money figures you're giving me, is this like 1981 prices, or is this like
these are 1982 prices? Yeah, so they'll probably go ahead and double them.
So he's paying those exact prices in 1982.
Yes.
So like after inflation, you're talking about like
$100
is like back then is. I ain't got no way to.
You might as well double it. Might as well double.
Way more than double. I'm thinking 100 be like $400 or $500 today. Inflation from 1982.
You could be right, especially depending on what it is. Especially for like a classic car, so that Monte Carlo is probably worth. If he spent $20,700 on a Monte Carlo, a 1981 Monte Carlo in '82, that's a brand new car.
I mean,
so
I used to buy gum like 85, 86 with a quarter, and got change back.
Dude, I remember when a pack of cigarettes was fucking $2.
Oh, dude, I remember paying like 99 cents for them. Marbles.
Yeah, dude.
99 cents. And when I got it about $2, I was like, what? $2? I remember when gas was like 88 cents a gallon.
Man, I remember when a dime bag cost a dime, you dig?
I remember when a nickel bag cost a nickel.
You did?
You know how much condoms cost back then?
Hey.
Yeah, I don't either. We never bought them.
How much condoms cost back then?
I don't know. We never bought them.
Oh, no, we never used them.
All right, man. Finish your story. This sounds cool. I've never heard anything of this. I like this.
Okay, so where were we?
Sterling Marlin.
Sterling Marlin. Okay.
Oh, I get bonus points for that. I remembered.
you remember this?
No, I remembered where you was at.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So he paid him $17,000 in cash and additional $3,700 check. Naturally, he was suspicious, and Marlon was suspicious. Followed him to Talladega to serve as his crew chief. Wright continued to write checks, including $1,500 to Goodyear, $1,200 to driver Travis Tiller for spare parts, $168 to the Southern Textile Association for racing jackets, as well as various others. Soon after getting to Talladega, Wright's story began to fall apart. Wright's alleged sponsors, Haggard and Shepard, both claimed to have never met Wright and denied ever sponsoring him. Moreover, no other NASCAR drivers could ever recall competing against him in any grand national races. Wright countered these allegations by saying that he had been premature in announcing his sponsorship deals, but swore that several deals with country music stars were in the works. As for his racing credentials, Wright conceded that he had never competed in a grand national race, but did compete in the lesser sportsman class races that took place at grand national racetracks.
He goes, hey, I know nobody knows me, but
Trust me.
Waylon can vouch for me. And they're like, hey, as long as we got a voucher. It's crazy. That's crazy.
Even this claim came off as dubious. Wright's crew chief Marlon would later recall Wright kept asking questions any driver should have known. He didn't seem to know much about what was going on. This was especially evident during the qualifying trials where Wright spun out and crashed into a wall during his second lap. Fortunately for Wright, the car was quickly repaired and he managed to qualify the race starting in 36th, pretty far into the pack for someone with so much alleged experience. Wright's story was falling apart, but at this point it hardly mattered. Wright had his credentials, his car, and a starting position off the race. Okay, so the race was the 1982 Winston 500. And it was broadcast nationwide on ESPN. Wright's car is seen briefly several times as the camera pans over the field. Little attention is paid to the rookie driver, and he is mentioned only in passing when the drivers of the race are discussed. The race ran for 4 laps before a crash forced a yellow flag, which lasted for another 6 laps. Once the green flag was back out, Wright lasted another 3 laps before being disqualified. Sources differ on whether Wright dropped out of the race due to engine trouble or he was disqualified for driving too slow. There was little fanfare for the end of Wright's brief 13-lap race, with ESPN commentator Larry Newber saying, the black flag coming out for one of the back markers. Perhaps a little bit of inexperience on the young driver. Well, he's not that young in experience in terms of his years in Grand National racing. Ampersand. Wright, having not technically come in last place, was entitled to a cash reward of $1,545, so $1,545. Wright collected his money, abandoned his car, equipment, and crew at the track, and took off in the tractor trailer he had gotten from Terrell. The $3,400 check paid to Marlon for the car came back as invalid. Marlon later told the press, I knew something funny was going on. When the check came back, it didn't really surprise me. I kind of expected it. NASCAR officials to whom Wright had written $1,500 in bad checks for licenses and patches for him and his crew were shocked with the whole situation. Field manager Doyle Ford stated in an interview that he'd been in the business for 24 years and never run into a case like this. It was strictly a con operation. Said Terrell, who had given nearly $40,000 to Wright in startup funds. I didn't know anything about racing, and he really got me good. Wright's other checks also bounced, including the $1,200 check to deliver Travis Tiller, the $168 check to Southern Textile, and the $1,500 check to Goodyear Tires. Wright was also said to have defrauded $4,500 from his landlord in Hendersonville, Tennessee, $700 from South Central Bell for long-distance call made to his mother in Virginia, and another $10,000 from the United Trappers Marketing Association. All told, Wright's antics cost his victims over $16,000 in 1982, or or about $160,000 in 2021.
Oh, so that accounted for inflation.
Okay, and in summation, Wright's con job made sports headlines across the country. NASCAR had warrants issued for his arrest, and Terrell hired a private investigator to attempt to track the man down. Nothing came of these efforts, and by 1983, Wright had largely faded from mainstream attention. Many have speculated about Wright's motives. After all, it was money he was after. Surely it was less visible and easier con jobs he could have pulled. Was he after notoriety, glory? One theory states that Wright had no intention to defraud all his victims, but instead conceived a half-baked plan to kickstart a professional racing career. Had Wright won or at least completed the race, he could have started paying back all of the money he, quote-unquote, borrowed. Others said he was nothing more than a thrill seeker who was in way over his head. This was an unprecedented case because it's unusual for somebody as obliviously unqualified as Wright to try to get into a race, NASCAR field manager Doyle Ford explained. First of all, there's the expense, $30,000 or more for just a race car, not to mention the danger. A guy who doesn't know what he's doing could easily get killed out there. To this day, the true identity and motive of NASCAR's mystery driver remains just that, a mystery. Regardless of this, Wright has left behind a rather interesting and lasting legacy. He is still listed in official NASCAR results as having one start in the 1982 Winston 500. In the end, the fact that a wholly unqualified driver managed to talk their way into the major leagues of racing, qualify for the race, not come in last place, and completely vanish is nothing short of extraordinary. A reporter for UPI put it best. If he could have driven as fast as he talked, L.W. Wright would be a NASCAR champion now.
I don't know.
Very interesting. Yet another